Hi. Uh, it's been like it's been a minute. Uh, my last video was April 3rd, which is a lot longer than I had planned on. Um, there's just been kind of a lot happening, so let me first start this by saying that we just passed a couple of really important things. First of all, today, I mean, as usual, it's late at night. It's 12:48 a.m., which means we literally just finished Father's Day. So, happy Father's Day to anyone watching this who happens to be a father. Cheers to you guys. I know being a father's not an easy gig, but those of us who have done it generally feel pretty good about it. So if you've done it and you've done it right and your kids actually like you and talk to you and stuff, then good job. Happy Father's Day. A couple days ago, couple other important days, both the same day actually, Friday. Friday was two important things in my world. First of all, happy belated birthday to the U.S. Army. Army birthday was Friday, so that's cool. Also, coinciding with the Army's birthday, as one might potentially expect, was also National Bourbon Day, which is also an excellent thing. So a couple of kind of other things that happened around those days was I received something that I was pretty highly anticipating. Now, as I've made clear, I don't generally buy expensive, crazy bottles of whiskey, and I don't go hunting for allocated bottles. I'm not huge on running out and finding the newest celebrity spirit, although I have tried a few. Obviously I've had the Rocks Tequila, and I've had Long Branch when Matthew McConaughey was still a part of that, and I think I have. I've had Virginia Black, which was, Drake's whiskey, which cool bottle. Whiskey wasn't bad, nothing too fancy either though. So, I'm cool with some of the celebrity stuff. For the most part, I just don't care that much about it. However, there are some celebrities that I am interested in, that I'm a fan of, that I actually see a spirit related to them, and I want to try it. So, if you know me personally, you might be aware I am a fan of Jim Gaffigan. I think he's hilarious. He's easily one of my favorite comedians, if not in the number one spot. He's pretty close. But I would definitely say I've watched more Jim Gaffigan specials than probably anybody else. So when I heard that he was doing videos on YouTube of bourbon information and things related to bourbon, of course I went and watched them, and I was pretty heavily entertained. It was pretty cool. Good information, actually talking to distilleries and people involved in distilling and bourbon companies. It was really cool. Didn't know at the time that was leading somewhere, but it was, and I couldn't not go for it. So on Friday, I received my bottle of Jim Gaffigan's Father Time Precious Batch Straight Bourbon. I also, you might notice, didn't wait for this video to open it. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. Signed by him, whole story on the back. Pretty awesome. Love this bottle. Feels good in the hand. This topper is nice and solid. I mean, heavy. Not your cheapo, gonna fall apart kind of topper. It's great looking label, great looking bottle, and pretty good out of the glass. I already did my own personal analysis. I was gonna do an analysis video, but again, I couldn't wait. I couldn't help myself. I just went for it. So I do want to do a little bit of that analysis in this video, but before I get there, I do want to also kind of give an update. Why was I gone since April 3rd? And I'll be happy to tell you why. First of all, April 3rd was quickly followed up on April 6th by a celebration. It was my dad's 90th birthday, so we had a surprise party at the distillery. It went really well. We managed to surprise him and get almost all the kids here to spend his birthday with him. Really, really cool. Got to do a couple of interesting things along with that, like besides the party, we had a small thing with, it was one of my brothers, one of my sisters, and my wife and my parents. On my dad's birthday, which wasn't the 6th, but on his actual birthday, we opened a bottle of Gaia, about a $600 bottle of Gaia, to toast my dad's birthday. It was great. It was a lot of fun. If you know what Gaia is, you can appreciate what I just said. But it was awesome. It was great. And then right after that, my wife and I went on a little weekend trip. Just get away for a minute, because the day after we got back from that trip, I got to have knee surgery. So I spent a good amount of time kind of recovering and trying to, deal with that. But also, a lot of other things were happening at the same time. We had, classes at the culinary school going on. We had things at the distillery trying to go on. We've had some issues with a water thing, and we're still working on fixing that. So the last few months have just been kind of non-stop, one thing after another. Not all bad, not all good, but just a lot of stuff. And to be 100% honest with you, many of the nights that I thought I'll make a video tonight, I just fell asleep. I was so exhausted, I just went to sleep. So, also, I had things to say, but none of them were big and none of them were important. They're all kind of just minor things that I had in my mind. Like, should I make a video talking about some of those little things? Most of them didn't warrant a whole video, right? So, like, should I make a video about the people in my neighborhood putting up signs all over the place saying, this is a neighborhood, not a racetrack? Which is very interesting because the speed limit on that road is 20 miles an hour. It was 25 miles an hour. But they made enough of a ruckus to get in the city to change the speed limit and make it 5 miles an hour lower, which, interestingly enough, has not stopped some of their behavior. We'll go with that word. They like to wave you down as you pass them, going the speed limit. People on foot or on a bike, walking their dog or whatever in the lane, not off to the side, in the lane, they like to wave at drivers to slow down when the driver is actually going the speed limit. So these signs are there, in my opinion, primarily because a person on foot or on a bike can't figure out how fast that vehicle is actually going, which is a very interesting situation. I barely pulled out of my driveway, hadn't even started moving really yet, and someone waved me to slow down. It's a little out of hand, and they're worried about cars hitting people or whatever, which, by the way, is not a thing that's common in this neighborhood. It's pretty rare that somebody has a hard time with a car. But there's this thing that I keep remembering, and that was years and years ago, when I went outside to play as a child. My parents said this thing to me every time, and that was, stay out of the road. Simple instruction: stay out of the road, watch for cars, look both ways, and so on and so forth, right? In other words, road safety for the pedestrian, which it seems these people aren't interested in doing. They just want to make the drivers slow down or whatever, but they don't want to teach their kids or themselves to stay out of the road. Does that deserve a whole video? Not really. It's just a gripe. Or what about this one? This is June. June is Men's Mental Health Month. Do I make a whole video acknowledging the fact that that's a joke? Because, and if you want to leave a comment saying, and give me an example of it, who is actually paying attention to that? Because from my point of view, not very many, if any. Maybe in the therapist and counseling community, they're paying attention to that, and men who genuinely have mental health issues are probably concerned about it, but nobody actually is talking about it. No one actually is worried about it. I've seen in just the last week men who've got issues, and it's not like they have kept them a secret. They've got certain issues, that even their own family have just kind of ignored and not taken into account in the decisions they make or in the day-to-day activities of the household. So that man's mental health is kind of taking a beating during Men's Mental Health Month. It's very interesting to me. Should I make a whole video on that? No, because it's going to, at some point, just be me frustrated and venting and kind of just pointing out people doing things that don't help. Or it'll just be useless. So there's all that, right? Today was Father's Day. I figured the best thing to do for today was to talk about Father Time bourbon. Out just in time for Father's Day. I tasted it already. I did an analysis already. I've got some tasting notes already. So I figured it was a good time for that. And then we'll go forward with other videos later. So let's talk about Father Time. This is, clearly a pretty nice, light amber. It's kind of gold, and maybe the lighting in here isn't really showing it the way I'm seeing it, but it's kind of a gold, almost amber. It's a beautiful color. It's nice and shiny. You give it a little bit of a sniff, and on that first sniff, you get honey. There's citrus. It's not specific. It's a little bit subtle, but it's there. And then some of the notes that you expect: caramel, vanilla. In this case, I get some cedar. I get some maple, which I kind of like. Once it's opened up a little bit, which I'll admit to you, this has opened up during this video, so if you want to speed up the opening, do the drop of distilled water, that helps too. But after that, you get a more specific citrus. It's orange, but you also kind of pull in some cinnamon and a little bit of cherry, and the oak becomes a little more noticeable. It's really a nice smell, right? So this is from Kentucky. It's 92.4 proof. There's some familiar elements, but then there's some things that don't quite match up with those familiar elements. So it's a little more interesting. On the palate, the honey comes through, and there's kind of a background of like bitter chocolate, like baker's chocolate, and some white pepper. Honeysuckle is there. I would say the honey kind of leads into a honeysuckle kind of floral note. But I also get a couple other things. Definitely oak. Definitely smoke. A hint of prune, which it's just enough to be there. But also on the very back side, kind of right back here in the back of your throat, a little bit of like coffee. And then throughout the palate, there's still some of that orange. It still comes through pretty strong. Overall, for me, and I don't give 10 out of 10 on anything, pretty much ever. So if you get anything 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 from me, that's a pretty good sign. So in my own analysis, in tasting this again, I'm very solid on the 8 out of 10, as far as a rating goes. It's really pretty good. And I know that if you watch the videos that Jim Gaffigan put out regarding this, he and a friend picked a couple of barrels, which I think they did a really good job. I'm really happy with this whiskey. The only thing I'm sad about is I may have missed out on the Parenting Quotes rocks glasses that he was also selling. But he does have a new video that he put out right about the time they were shipped or should have been arriving, where he said, give feedback on whether or not he should do it again. And I'm going to go ahead and say right here that if he chooses to do more bourbon like this, I'm all for it. I think it was they did a really good job of picking, and I think it's delicious. And it's gonna go back here on my shelf, but in a spot where it's not part of the regular lineup. I'm not gonna waste this on daily sipping. It's definitely better than that. So if you can't get this now, from what I understand, it's sold out. So hopefully that's okay with you. But if you didn't get one, sorry. Maybe if you know me and I'm nice, like really, really nice, I'll share with you. But hopefully he does it again, and hopefully you are quicker on the draw that time. Having said all that, giving you a little bit of a tasting of Father Time bourbon, I hope everybody's doing well from the last few months that I haven't been on here. I'm not going to make any promises for the next video. Clearly, every time I do, things go weird. No plans for surgery at this time, so hopefully that won't play a factor in it. But I will be tasting more bourbons, doing more stuff, and hopefully I'll have more stuff to talk about. And more stuff that's not just little frustrating pieces of daily life. Maybe something positive. I'll work on that. With all that, have a good night. Cheers. I'll talk to you soon, I hope.